Well, hello, everybody, and welcome into this very special report on the 2024 Heisman Trophy ceremony. I am Tucker Austin, joined by Barrett Spritzer and Chris Carrino. The three of us had the extremely exciting opportunity to go to the media availability on Friday and Saturday. That's December's 13th and 14th. So it's probably a week prior to when this is being seen on one-on-one, or maybe a little bit longer, depending on when it goes. But we did get the opportunity to go to the Heisman ceremony, and it was really, really cool. Got some awesome content, got to ask some questions of the Heisman finalists during their media availability. On Friday, before the big dance and before they were all dressed up, we got a bit of time with them, both in a press conference beforehand and in a smaller room with each player at his individual table. Barrett and I had the chance to be there on Friday for that. So, Barrett, you want to just explain a little bit what we did on Friday?
Yeah, I mean, Tucker, we got to talk to them when they were a little bit more dressed down. I mean, even though probably everything they were wearing cost more than any single piece of thing I own. So
except Ashton. Except Ashton.
Ashton. Yeah, he walked out in that starter jumpsuit. You know, he's ready to ball out just like always. But yeah, we got the opportunity to talk to him in a bit more of a relaxed environment. You know, almost one-on-one type setting. Get to ask a couple questions, really to everyone but Travis, because Travis was
absolutely mobbed.
Yeah, I mean Travis might have had
rightfully so.
Travis might have had 3/4 of all of the reporters there around him the entire time. I mean, you would have had to part the Red Sea to get to him.
But big heavy duty equipment too.
Yeah,
he was surrounded.
That guy had to be drenched in sweat with all the lights
for
on
sure.
him.
We were drenched in sweat. I can't imagine that guy.
I mean, he might have had 10 million lumens of light on him. I mean, that guy lit up the whole room like the North Star over there. But, we got to, because of that, Tucker, we got to ask, Dylan Gabriel, a couple of questions. We got to ask Genty a bunch of questions. Got some really good answers from Cam Ward as well. And, I mean, it's not often you get to do things like this as a student radio station, but incredible experience. We got to, we asked Ashton Genty what it felt like to be named a Heisman, what he thinks of.
I got him to say his favorite video game was Call of Duty, which is really awesome. I mean, we got to remember these guys are pretty much our age, as early 20-year-olds. They're college students just like us, and I felt that with Genty too. I got to ask him that question about what he does on his recovery days, and he says I just chill. Yeah, family calls me, checks up on me.
We asked Genty how many yards he would get against the high school defense on 20 carries. He said, "Max him out."
Max me out.
and I quote, "Max me out."
That was awesome.
Yeah.
That was a really cool experience on Friday. We got those questions in a little bit further ahead of the ceremony, so it wasn't exactly fresh in their minds, or the only thing they were thinking about. But you get to Sunday. And that's where we got to find out. We got to make history, add a name to the long list of previous Heisman Trophy winners. And Chris, you got down there with us on Saturday. You had a couple finals to do on Friday that kept you away, but on Saturday you got there for the meat of the event. They presented a different award beforehand. Just a little bit, and then we had the professional press conference where all 4 of the finalists were available to the whole media room
for questions and pictures.
Should I actually just hop in here? I do want to. The Danny Wolfler Trophy. I think that was.
Yes. That's the trophy that they gave out.
Referring to. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. What was
It was
Daryl Dawkins' son.
Yes.
Penn State
offensive line.
Daryl Dawkins, Chocolate Thunder. Daryl Dawkins.
Yeah, Daryl Dawkins' son.
I didn't put that together.
Yep.
Got it.
I think I just want to. That was a really cool thing to see. He was very passionate.
Nick Dawkins.
Very passionate about his foundation that he started, which was really cool to see. Again, he's a senior, right? He's a year older than us, and have that kind of passion for the foundation. And when people asked him what does it mean in the locker room, his face lit up when he was talking about how his teammates joined him. They drove 2.5 hours to his hometown to help out with his backpack drive, and then how he was so happy to say that he inspired some of his teammates to start foundations too. I just wanted to shout that out because I thought that was one of the cooler moments of the weekend.
Definitely.
Too.
Yeah, absolutely, and one that we didn't see coming because they kind of dropped it on the media at the buzzer.
We got an email 30 minutes before it happened.
Yeah, but it was really cool.
Definitely.
That and the addition of the heirloom watches too that they gave out on Friday. I think Chris has a tweet out about that right now at C Carrino Report with 2 R's.
2 R's.
But
and the watches were watches obviously that were really impressive physically.
Oh, yeah.
But then, as you guys said, because I wasn't there when they were presented, but just talking to you guys afterward, it's something that's going to stay in these guys' families for a long time. Could end up becoming a pretty cool tradition. Obviously matches the copper tones of the trophy on the watch, and the box is really cool as well. So that could be an added benefit to being a nominee. Guys like Dylan Gabriel, who maybe don't have a ton of it in it for them as maybe the fourth wheel.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's almost like it sort of is a consolation prize, because 3 of these guys are not gonna win the Heisman Trophy.
Do you wear a Heisman watch if you're not the Heisman?
I think so, for sure.
100% you do.
Yeah,
you're nominated.
It puts you you're a finalist. It's about the watches were about recognizing the fact that they are finalists.
Maybe
because
I don't wear it.
You know what I mean? You know what I mean? No.
Someone in your family eventually.
It's a little tacky if you're like.
Well, it depends. Maybe if you're Ashton Genty, you don't wear it because I know he is we
but
saw
Dylan Gabriel
we
was
saw
never
in interviews after the award was given out. He was upset. He was legitimately upset, and
someone should have showed Ashton betting odds at any point in the last month.
One thing. I think Ashton Genty was the first guy to congratulate Travis.
Oh yeah, for sure.
As soon as it was announced, they both stood up.
Yeah.
Just speaks to I kind of that character we got a little bit of piece off when we were in those media availability.
And sorry to cut you off there. From a competitive standpoint, if you're trying to get a guy's markup, a guy's character, I kind of like that even till the end, Ashton was like, I'm the Heisman. And he was a little upset about it afterward. Because that even reminds me of, and people use this analogy a lot over the summer, but Wembanyama in the gold medal game, he was upset they lost to the U.S. He was really disappointed. And to me, that was the biggest green flag. Because no one thought France was going to beat the U.S. in the gold medal basketball game this summer, but Wembanyama seriously did. He seriously thought they were going to lose. He was crying after the game, and that feels similar to Ashton here. Ashton didn't think it was just Travis's award to take. Ashton really thinks he's the best player in college football, and I like that a lot.
Yeah, true competitors. Yeah. Really, all 4 of them. It's kind of the reason why they're in that room.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair as well, Vegas's betting odds were crazy all week. I mean, I think it was a 2,800 point spread at one point.
It got a little.
I think Hunter was minus 2,000. Genty was plus 800.
Yeah, which is closer than it was.
Yeah,
but I mean that minus 2,000 is. I mean, you're not making any money on that.
Pretty
bet.
ridiculous. And Vegas is normally right,
but they were right. But the actual voting spread. Smallest since 2009.
Yeah,
so
really close.
It's not like Genty got blown out of the water and he was delusional. He was in it, really. He appeared on more ballots. I think 95 something.
Yeah, I think it was 1.3% more ballots had Genty's name on it than Hunter's.
Versus Hunter's 93.5.
But the first place votes category is kind of what separated it. And Travis Hunter, obviously, he won
every
five of the 6 regions. Genty did win the region where Idaho physically is, so that makes sense.
And just talking about, because you guys are touching on Ashton and Travis specifically, thinking about recasting our minds back to the beginning of the season, this is one of the most unpredictable Heisman finishes we've ever had. I don't think anybody in the country was necessarily had obviously eyes on Ashton Genty. That really came out of nowhere. But even Travis Hunter, when you think about it now, it felt like he was the slam dunk Heisman all year. But when you think about preseason odds, he was not the highest odds in the country. I don't even think he was top 3 highest odds in the country. There were names like Quinn Ewers getting thrown out there. Dylan Gabriel was a favorite the whole season. Jalen Milroe as well. So I think that's interesting as well. Something I wanted to touch on a few topics ago that we didn't quite get to was also, we're talking about the uniqueness of this event and things like that. I think there was a lot of uniqueness with this specific year's installment of the event, specifically the 4 players that were nominated. Such great personalities and such great niches that they all fit. Dylan,
they're just great, human beings.
Yeah,
you
Dylan
know?
a little more reserved and respectful. Travis is a little more flash and and maybe less of that substance that Dan Lanning talked about last year when they beat Colorado. And Ashton Jeanty seems to be the college football fan darling. They just all kind of fit roles that are really important. Cam Ward, personal favorite of mine.
Yeah.
Personal favorite of mine. So just all in all, I think we got really lucky that in this year that we went, the personalities were so great and the players were so great, because really, you could say there's two, arguably three, once-in-a-generation players in this Heisman race. Truly.
And speaking to that luck a little bit, on Saturday we also had you and Barrett had an interesting opportunity for a quick interview with former New York Giant Prince Amukamara, who was at the event. A bit of a surprise that he was there. Chris actually recognized him at the event.
He picked it out right away.
I'll give him credit.
Thank you, Tucker.
I'll give him credit for that shout out, because he did. He recognized Prince Amukamara way before, and then later on, our sports director Bobby Chaffardini, who made an appearance at the event as well, was able to hook it up to get us an interview with Prince Amukamara.
Yeah, Tucker. Kids in the New Jersey area who love ball, it's straight up an illness. There's no reason. 7 to 8 years removed from Prince Amukamara's career without a helmet, I should be spotting him from halfway across the room. Nonetheless, I love it about myself, and I move forward. Prince Amukamara was awesome. Bobby Chaffardini, as you said, our sports director, knew him from just his time down here. Prince Amukamara played locally for a long time. He's a former Nebraska Cornhusker as well. Big 12 Nebraska Cornhuskers. Barrett remembers he liked that Barrett referred to them as the Big 12 Nebraska Cornhuskers. Everyone thinks he played in the Big 10. He never did. The interview was fantastic. Got him for a little longer than we maybe expected. He was super generous with his time. Big A Adventures is his endeavor.
Mr. A Adventures.
Mr. A Adventures, not Big A Adventures. Mr. A Adventures is his new endeavor now. We saw him in a pretty interesting outfit on Friday, and he formaled it up a little bit on Saturday. But all in all, just a really good time and just really cool, honestly, Bear.
Yeah, I mean, I loved it. He had that bright red jacket on Saturday. It was reminiscent of Nebraska, but I'm sure that's not why he had the red. It was for his new channel. But Friday he had quite the fit on. But his new channel endeavor, Mr. A, it's for the kids. So he had that. He has that kind of personality that he's trying to bring out. He had these big old, I'm pretty sure they were fake glasses on. I think they were yellow.
Imposter.
I mean, fake glasses. I don't know who he's trying to hide from, but he was it was a great experience to get an interview, and we talked on a bunch of topics all over the place.
Yeah, between stuff in college football world now, stuff with him personally.
He gave us a really in-depth answer on the current state of Nebraska football.
Truly.
And don't get too in-depth on it now, because we can actually roll that footage right now. We have the Prince Amukamara interview, and it's coming to you right now.
Here at Heisman Media Availability, and we came across an NFLer, Prince Amukamara. Some local kids in this area would say he's a legend in this area for his time in the Giants secondary. First of all, what are you doing here today, and how are you doing?
Yeah, no, definitely excited to be here at the Heisman ceremony. I hit up Mr. Henning for credentials. I actually have a kids YouTube educational and entertainment show called Mr. A Adventures. We hit on sports, nutrition, and education, and so trying to cover some content for the kids.
And where can everyone find you?
On Mr. A Adventures on YouTube, all social media outlets, Instagram, TikTok, we're everywhere.
So what kind of inspired you to start this channel?
Yeah, so I have, since retiring, I had triplets, and so I already had 2 kids, and so just seeing what my kids watch on YouTube, and just me just having a passion for the next generation and nutrition and performance, it was a great fit, and it's been awesome so far, the response, and I'm excited to see where it's going.
And taking it back on the field a little bit, obviously you've done this transition, and one of very few to do this transition of college into the NFL. Maybe not necessarily advice, but what things in hindsight would you maybe do differently in that process that these guys are going through now?
Yeah, I think one big thing is definitely have just a great community, so the right people in your circle, because there's going to be a lot of adversity, whether you're the best player or whether you're the worst player. There's going to be a lot of adversity as soon as you walk into the league, so you want to make sure that your community or your circle is pretty tight. And then another thing would be is just finding that routine. In college, you're kind of regimented, you have a routine, you have school, you have film, you have workouts, you have all this. But when you're professional, I mean, everything is up to you. No one's telling you to come to meetings, no one's waking you up, no one's holding your hand. And if you miss it, what they do is they find you, and if they keep finding you, then they cut you. So you want to make sure you just stay on top of all that.
Yeah, so Prince, obviously you were part of those powerhouse Big 12 Nebraska teams. Do you think in college, you versus Travis Hunter one-on-one, who wins that?
Who's on the ball?
Right. That's right. I'm glad you said Big 12 because everyone always asks me, hey, did you play Wisconsin? I'm like, no, I wasn't in the Big 10 yet. But, man, I mean, he is the Heisman Trophy winner. I'd give him the edge. I am bigger than him, but
a lot of guys are.
Yeah, right. But it doesn't matter. He has a bigger heart. He's a dog. That's why he wears the D on his chest, and you just know that, like, he's special. I heard Patrick Peterson saying on Johnny Manziel's podcast earlier is that, like, we're probably never gonna see this type of player. Probably ever or in a long time. For someone to win the Blake Cup, the best wide receiver, and then to win the Bednarik, the best defensive player award, and now to win the Heisman, that's tough, and it just shows the type of person he is.
We lightly touched on the Nebraska Cornhuskers there. They're on their way up now, having a bit of a renaissance. What do you think that program can do to have individuals sweep?
Yeah, I love what Coach Rule is doing with the Huskers. He's a great fit. He's a great coach for our team, and having Dylan there is huge. And we have a strong recruiting class coming in with Dawson Merritt. Coach Merritt coached me out here when I was with the Giants, and so for his son to go to my alma mater, he's going to be a great player for us. And so I think what we need to continue to do is just to continue to get the right players, a lot of playmakers is what we need. We're going to have to kind of rebuild again just because our defensive coordinator went to Florida State, and yeah, so but I don't think it's just a little hiccup. And so as long as we keep getting great recruits, I think, and as long as we have Dylan QB1, I think everyone will take care of itself.
Do you think he could be great next year?
Man, if Dylan keeps playing how he's playing, 100%. He kind of had a couple of bumps in the road towards later in the year, but he bounced back. And so every quarterback, every college player is going to deal with some type of adversity, whether on the field or off the field. And for Dylan to show the resilience he did, shows a lot about his character.
Absolutely, and we saw it against this Colorado team and the Heisman Award winner.
I love that game. I was there at that
Were you
game.
there? That environment must have been.
I was at that game last year in Colorado when they kind of steamrolled us, and then so for me to be at the game this year was the game I circled on my calendar, and I think that game was a wake-up call for Colorado because from that point on they just went on a tear, and they were destroying teams. And me and my friends always have discussions like, do you think this later year Colorado team could beat Nebraska if they were to play again? And I'm not going to answer that.
Yeah.
I got one more for
you.
So, do you think, or do you wish that you would have had this 12-team playoff when you were playing? Do you think that would have been a benefit for your teams?
Yeah, 100%. I never thought about that. But yeah, I think especially in 2009 when we had Big Sue.
Will Compton.
Yeah, Will Compton. Yeah, you know, Bussin. Yeah, when we had that strong defensive team, 100%. We took Texas, the Longhorns, down to the wire in the Big 12 championship. I still mess with Colt McCoy saying that there was not 2 seconds left on the clock, like the time had ran out. But yes, I love that, and I love the 12-team playoffs. It gives teams chances like Boise State and SMU a chance to get in there. But it's funny, and I'm sure you guys have heard it, people are still complaining that how do you not still put in Alabama and stuff like that. And I think another thing on the playoffs is that I think Oregon has a harder route.
They do.
Yeah. And
maybe the hardest, which doesn't.
Yeah, exactly. You get penalized for being the number one team. So I think they'll figure it out, but I like the 12 team.
Prince Amukamara, thank you so much for catching up with us live from the Marquee Hotel. Check out his Big A adventures everywhere, and yeah, from the Heisman ceremony.
Back from the Prince Amukamara interview, courtesy of Chris Carrino and Barrett Spritzer. Nice job on that interview, guys.
Thank you, Tucker.
And that just about wraps up our special report on the Heisman Trophy ceremony. Obviously, Travis Hunter, your winner of the 2024 Heisman Trophy. Vegas knew it was coming. I think we knew it was coming a little bit, although you guys both thought that Ashton Jeanty was the true winner, And I'd say
was about to
safe to say
say,
most of the country probably agrees
But
with
there
you.
was a bit of a sense of inevitability about it.
I was about to say for to improve the historical accuracy, looking back on this film in years' time, I would like it to be on the record that we did think Ashton was the Heisman if we were to be voting on the award. Travis, it just felt narratively just such a strong nominee, and obviously he's doing something that we haven't seen before. And guys that unique just tend to dominate in the Heisman conversation.
It's hard when you have two guys who deserve it so much and would probably. I think.
What was the last time it was this close? Like in your head, with two guys?
In my head, with two guys, probably. I mean, obviously, 2021.
It's obviously tough.
When Devontae Smith won it.
Yeah, I was about to say
receiver.
Devontae Smith just because I didn't really expect it.
Right.
He's a receiver, but he obviously had head and shoulders the best season that year.
Such a good season.
Though not
Probably
recently.
Melvin Gordon when he didn't win it was.
I was
probably,
gonna say mine wasn't recent, but I remember Andrew Luck and Robert Griffin III was like this close, really close.
Yeah, but RG3's a dog.
Even last year, there was great players. I mean, Jaden Daniels, Marvin Harrison Jr. was a nominee last year. It's interesting to think that some players were contemplating playing in their playoff games, bowl games at this time that were Heisman nominees. It's almost unthinkable to think that way with any of the four guys that were nominated this year. Obviously, Travis not in the playoff, but with his competitive streak, it felt like he was going to
I think they all came out and said that they were playing.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's obviously the right thing. Also, just one more time because we're talking college football here.
Yeah.
Penn State is coming up to play into the playoff. Their backup quarterback had to leave their program and hit the portal because of the timing in which the portal is set. It's absolutely ridiculous. The timing is as horrible as it can possibly be. A guy with legitimate rushing yards on a Penn State football team this year that's trying to play for a national championship has to leave his team at the most important time of the year just to have a good future ahead of him and just to put himself in a good position. That's completely unfair, and it's good that none of these Heisman guys are affected by that, but that very well could be the case in the future, and that could be in places that are even more impactful than, let's say, the backup quarterback. So they kind of keep an eye out for that as well.
Yeah. Well, Travis Hunter, your 2024 Heisman Trophy recipient. I mean, like when you look at all the other things he won this year, the Bednarik, the Biletnikoff, picks up another Paul Hornung, his second in a row, and the Walter Camp to top it off. It kind of felt like a foregone conclusion that he was going to pick up the most coveted trophy.
You think the Paul Hornung, did they just
football.
recycle the trophy, or does he get two?
That's
two.
Honestly interesting. I think he gets two.
He'll get one.
I think he'll
he
probably
won
get
two.
Did they just chisel in like 2023 or 2024 under 2023?
You might be right.
Yeah.
That
On the same trophy, just
the
like
same, yeah.
That might be where they get lazy.
But anyway, that'll do it for us. Again, Tucker Austin with Barrett Spritzer and Chris Carrino. Huge shout-outs to Lou Orlando, Will Talent, Jack Warner for giving us the opportunity and helping us along the way with planning and trying to figure out what kind of content we were going to get, because all of it helped us have just a really special weekend overall. And shout out, of course, to our sports director, Bobby Chaffardini, for setting it all up for us and for getting the Prince Amukamara interview as well.
Absolutely.
But we will be right back with more one-on-one after this short break on 90.7 FM WFUV Sports.